Welcome to Rust, the console edition. Today I'm going to show you how to build out on an iceberg. But first, I want to show you items of clothing you do not want to bring with you. And as an example, I'm wearing 3 pieces of road sign armor. It's metal. Each piece is reducing my cold by 8%. So it's dropping it to the negative. So I'm losing 24% protection. So remove all 3 pieces of road sign armor, and as you can see, I get to 23%. It would be 27 if I remembered to put the gloves back on. And this is a basic burlap set. Gets you to 27. If you add like a red coat, a winter jacket, or boots, and better like leather gloves or something like I showed in the previous video. But definitely you cannot wear any kind of metal armor at the cold areas. And I'm right in front of a fireplace. It doesn't matter. It's immediately going to give you -8 per piece. Okay, let's start our journey to build at an iceberg. So first off, I decided to pre-craft pretty much everything I needed to be self-sufficient up there. Sleeping bag. I also have a few metal doors, some door code key locks. I've got my burlap clothing at the top. I didn't have time to make a winter coat and boots, but there's my chair that offers 100% comfort, so if I need to heal fast. I have my interior lights. They run on fuel. They're going to give me the artificial light I need to grow things in those 2 planters, and the fireplace and also the furnace are going to give me the heat I need so plants will actually grow. Now the area water around the icebergs is salty, so I'm also bringing a water purifier. It just sits on top of a fire pit. And I brought a large, I guess it's a 5-gallon kind of blue container to gather the water, at least until all the pumpkins grow and they're a source of both food and water. I also like to thank my teammates, Ducky and Rev Midnight, who actually went up there and pre-placed the fish traps. So the thing about camping or building on an iceberg are a couple of things. The one we're going to, you can actually walk out to. It's a little bit of tricky parkour. Yes, you're more than likely going to fall in the water. I usually would try to divide the supplies in half. This way, if one of us completely drowns, we don't lose everything. We have enough to kind of get started. So I'm pretty much carrying all the build supplies, and my teammate is carrying things like the seeds and things like that. But there are other icebergs that you will need to boat or swim out to, and that is really tough without a wetsuit, because after this video, the whole reason behind this is to see, can you survive in the cold? What's it going to take? And also, like my friend Rev Midnight, we both like to go diving. We have these great wetsuits and tanks and goggles and fins. The water is super clear. You can dive down to boats and find all kinds of great loot. So we wanted to build a remote dive base. Whoa, that place went down really quick. Wow, they had 3 huge furnaces. And we're just going to go around this rocky inlet here on the left side. I got a little bit off course. I'm trying to do this, and you're going to do this definitely as soon as the sun comes up. I'm a little bit cold because it's still pretty early in the morning. The sun just came up. We're all geared up, and we just have to follow this coastline. I do not want to enter any water because I want to make sure that my health is as high as possible now, because more than likely I'm going to fall in the water trying to parkour across there. And we're about halfway there. We just have to get around this curve here. And there's always this area here, this little inlet. It's great, at least now that those big clan camps are gone. Great source of metal and things. So I'll be able to kind of scoot out here, grab a few things, and head back. But I don't want to draw attention to myself. And as you can see, there are quite a lot of icebergs already out there. Some have sunken ships next to them. Mine has a tugboat and a half-sunk, I guess they were towing a cargo barge. So it's a lot easier to get to than those other ones. And there you can see the smaller iceberg straight ahead. And then you'll see where we're going to be camping, just on the other side of that tug. This is also an area where a lot of new players spawn in, so I do find a lot of new players on the beach with their rocks. Okay, you can see right here, you're starting to see the bits of the ice flow. And we want to try to walk out as far as we can before we start the little jump-a-thon, and hopefully not a drown-a-thon. Okay. You can also leave a little fire pit here on the beach in case something does happen and you want to get back and get warm. But this is our start point. So let's start parkouring across. The really cool thing about the game mechanic is the more waterlogged your character gets, the heavier your character gets, and you'll start to drown. And you do not want to see that blue come around your screen. As you can see, it's -4. I'm not in the sun at all, and I'm trying to get my way over to this barge right there. I can run along the edge and at least stay out of the ice for a little bit. I'm at 67% waterlogged, so yeah, this is not good. Just walking out there, I have to get there, get the fire pit down as quickly as possible before I don't survive much anymore. Okay, now boy, we had a little bit of a problem. Sometimes whoops, yes, definitely. Sometimes you want to wait a second or two for the iceberg to fully, or the ice floe to fully materialize, because sometimes there's a little bit of a slant into the water. And as long as you hit that point, you have a fighting chance. I almost drowned there. I am almost to the build site. Like right here, you can see just a part of it going into the water. So I'm going to just jump over to the large iceberg part here and go around. I jumped to the one with the pointed edge. That's right. You can see our previous attempt there. It did not last long, but that is okay. We're here to learn. That's the whole point, at least for me, is learning plan every day. It may take 2 days to save up like 250 scrap to learn a new item, but as long as you're learning, keep playing. Okay, you can see the fish traps out there. We'll have to load those up and see if we can get some food today, too. We are almost there. And I haven't fully drowned yet. I haven't lost anything. That is also good. This is the tough part, this last. There, I didn't even make it. It can be tough. I'm going to try and see if I can swim over to where the fish traps are. And I managed to pull myself out of that. I'm going to delete that one. We are here, but as you can see, I am 100% waterlogged and very cold. A few remnants of the previous camp that we made here. A lot of things do not despawn, like the furnaces and the refineries and any of the wood things there. So let's guess what my teammate has, the fire pit. Okay, let's get building. So let's lay the first foundation piece. I don't want to be too close to the edge of the water. I also want to stay low on the horizon so my house doesn't stick out like a sore thumb to anybody kind of boating by or walking down from the cliffs up there. So what I'm doing is I'm building the house proper, which is just going to be probably 3 blocks long with an airlock and a room for a TC. And on the opposite side, on the right side, I'm going to try growing just out in the open air some pumpkins in the planter. So I have 2 planters that I brought. Let me see if I can quickly put down. I saw the stairs here a second ago. Sometimes this build menu is a little goofy. Where is it? Foundation steps. There we go. Let's put a set of steps here. It can sometimes be a little tough getting up out of the water there. So let's go ahead and add those. There we go. And we'll get some more blocks down here. I don't want to make it too large at all. There we go. This build menu sometimes is a little funky. I'm coming from Fallout 76 where I thought there were issues with builds coming into this game. This is a lot worse. It's not going to let me build out that much farther onto the ice floe. You run into these problems, you just have to adapt. Sometimes you have a great plan of how you want your camp to look, and you get out to the location and it's like, nope, we're not going to let you build here or here. So let's at least get some twig walls down. And the rest, there's our foundation for the TC. And I think we're good. I'm not going to add too much more. No, I think it's good. There's our airlock over there. Like I said, not too big. Let's get the sleeping bag down because as you can see, my health is rapidly dropping. I don't think I have enough time to make a campfire. Let's see if I can get a campfire down. At least with the sleeping bag down, I can die right here and know all of my loot is there. Okay, we're crafting a campfire. In only 24 seconds. This is what happens. 100% waterlogged, minus 23 degrees. Combination definitely not working. I'm just trying to find a place where I can, as soon as that campfire is done in a couple of seconds, I think it's going to be too little too late, but let's go ahead and give it a try. My health is at 1. Let's see if we can get any kind of comfort here or whether or not I'm going to be sleeping on the iceberg. So after I respawned back in at my sleeping bag, I'm going to help out my teammate by placing a sleeping bag for them. They have died up on the iceberg but have not respawned. So I can give a friend a sleeping bag so they can respawn here instead of back at bandit camp and walk all the way up. So give it a couple minutes for it to be able to, because it's a new placement, she can't come back in for another couple of minutes. But she's there on the end of that iceberg over there. She'll easily be able to come back in on that sleeping bag and go back over to the iceberg over there and recover her stuff. So let's continue with the build. Let's go ahead and place the TC. It just fits nicely in here. I'm not too concerned about security up here. If it lasts 24 to 48 hours, I'll consider myself lucky. Let's go ahead and put one of the digital code locks on the TC. Let's grab it right there, place it, put in the code, and go ahead and authorize myself so building is not blocked anymore. We can build, we're good to go, and we can go ahead and start to put some of these extra building materials in there so we don't have any incidences again where you carrying everything still and you drowned again. So let's put as much of the build materials as we can into the TC and still leave a little bit to finish the build itself. Okay, so I think we're good to continue building. Let's go ahead and grab some more wood and continue putting up the walls. Grab a little bit of everything. After coming from Fallout 76 to this build structure, it's a little bit more difficult and a lot trickier using, the trigger and the wheel at the same time. And sometimes you pick something like, I knew I was on the wall twice, and it still gives me floor pieces. It can be a little bit tricky. It might have been my error too. So anyways, also if you are new to the game and you're building, build from inside your base. This way you can see the X's on the walls when you start out with your twig and know that those are the soft sides on the inside. So better that way. And I think my game just locked up. They've been having some issues with servers lately. So what I'm going to do is when I get back in, I'm just going to show you the build as it is. So let's pan over to the right and head inside, and I'll show you the results of the build. So I'm going to take you around to the little grow experiment area. So I'm just going to try with the light that's up here, but with no heat source, nothing, to see if with just natural light and the cold that it is here right now, whether these things will grow or not. I do have the ability to put windows in later. I have a light for a light source. I have a fire pit for a heat source. But right now, these have been around for about 12 minutes and not much is happening. So I'm going to leave those kind of for a couple of hours and come back in. I'm just going to go ahead and close the doors. There's no locks or anything there. There's my fish traps. They're all set and running. So this is what the final build looks like. I've got a furnace here. There's the water purification system. You cannot put it straight down on the ground. You have to put the fire pit or campfire down first and then place on top of that a couple little storage boxes. Now these plants are getting light from above and heat from the fireplace. So we'll see how those grow. There's the chair that offers the 100% comfort, and the fireplace that offers the 75% comfort. So that's healing and heat. Plus you can go ahead and cook in the fireplace too also. So that's always very helpful to have an item that does multiple things. So let's wait and see how all of this grows, I guess, overnight. Well, we'll give it a couple of hours game time and see how everything works. And let me show you the fish traps down here. I did remove one And we'll see what's in here right now. I'm using pumpkins that I had on one of my teammates, and we caught 2 trout. So when they break down, they get bones, fish patties, I guess, or fish, and you also get animal fat. So that's the other reason my teammate was carrying extra cloth. So my light source runs on fuel. So with that animal fat and cloth, I can make fuel to power the light. And I have a food source until the pumpkins come back. So there's kind of a nice circle of items that you need. You're growing pumpkins to eat because they're a source of food and water. You can also use the pumpkins to bait the fish traps. Now, you can catch these little minnows. I did try leaving them in there thinking they may attract bigger fish, but that's a no. You can also eat those little fish raw. You won't get poisoned or anything. Some items you can get poisoned in the game, but you can just go ahead and eat them as they are. And I'll save some of the other stuff for later. And we're fully stocked for about almost 2 days, something like that. I've got a good supply of cloth. Like I said, with the animal fat, that's going to give me the extra fuel to keep that light going, because I want to make sure that I have a reliable food source inside and also to test it out. So let's store the last few items. And I just want to top off the amount of fuel in the ceiling light. So that's our light source again for helping those pumpkins grow. So I want to make sure that the light source does not deteriorate, and make sure that I have enough fuel in the fireplace to provide heat. Yeah, I think I'm good to go. So let's go ahead and leave all of this on and running. Whoops, I meant to put it all back. There we go. Put that back. Yes. And turn that back on. Now we can store our clothing and extra food in little boxes. This is not a huge camp. Got some extra seeds, and I have a second box. You can also use the fireplace to store things too. So now I have a second set of burlap clothing. Going to go ahead and store all that and die and respawn back at Bandit Camp where I have my camp. And we'll be back to test to see if our pumpkins grow. And the first thing I notice is the fire has gone out. It looks like there was enough ambient heat that pumpkins actually grew. There's a little bit of fuel left. And after 7.5 hours game time, yield was 100%. So yes, I managed to, with the fireplace and the light, managed to get a couple of pumpkins. So let's see. A whole lot of charcoal left. We'll just go ahead and add another 1,000 wood to that. I managed to run up here with the windows too to try out the test where I put the windows in. Hopefully that may block out some of the cold but still let light in on the little farming side of the house. So let's go ahead and put in the extra cloth and metal and wood and a few other little things. We'll toss those seeds away. So yes, with the light and the fireplace, we managed to get food. And let me just store anything. Yeah, there was extra food I brought with me. And just put a little bit other stuff back away. Nope, go ahead and eat it. All right, let's head outside and see how the rest of it worked. Okay. And fish traps are still there. I swear they get the little movement like that weird kind of animation hash when you're closer to it. So we still have a pumpkin. We have 4 minnows. And this one, about 8 more minnows. There's our food. Let's hope for a fish. More minnows. Okay, so there still was enough pumpkins, and I managed to grow a few more, so I still have food and water. So with this one, I did nothing. I wanted to see if anything would grow. Of the 3 cuttings or seeds I planted after the same 7.5 hours, yield is 0. So yeah, they did not grow whatsoever. So if I had a lot more materials, I would put fuel up there in the light. I will put the glass windows in. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. It may give a little bit more light, but I think it's the heat that's the problem. If I had the time, I would put 3 planters right along the wall and stoke the fires and have them going just to see and try that without the light above, just natural light and campfires. So we'll see. Maybe it'll work, maybe not. Anyway, thanks so very much for watching this Rust video about building on an iceberg. It's really a nice solo thing to do. And for the next video, I'm going to show you all about diving. So thanks so very much for watching, and I'll see you out in the next Rust console video.